Fortunately, we have younger generation people in the 8th grade who can figure this out. It's days like today that I am so glad my remaining Sundays are very numbered down to one hand. Well, good afternoon. I'm Gretchen Curtis. It's been my privilege for the last 5 years to coordinate the Sunday afternoon lecture series for the Lakeside Heritage Society. We've been doing this for more than 40 years, and we're delighted that we've had a wonderful response this year, both in terms of the speakers agreeing to present very interesting historical topics related to Lakeside and the Danbury Peninsula, and we've had excellent turnout this season. Now, one of the things that's very interesting to me is I see faces here this afternoon that I have not seen on a Sunday afternoon in 5 years. I know, has nothing to do with me. I'm not taking it personally. It's all related to who our speaker is today and what the topic is. A few brief announcements. Wednesday morning, our Central Lakeside tour. Wednesday afternoon, that's at 10:30, meet at the museum, free. 3:30 in the afternoon, I do a repeated every Wednesday seminar on the historic Chautauqua movement, how Lakeside became a Chautauqua, and a little overview of the 8 remaining Chautauqua communities in the United States. Next, Friday, the walking tour. I drew the straw on that one. It is not what it says in the yellow brochure. The yellow brochure says it is the 1929 fire walk. Our presenter for that is still recovering from a significant health incident, and so we flipped, and I'm doing historic guest houses on this particular Friday morning. You do need to register by Thursday afternoon in the museum, and it's a $5 cost. And next Sunday, we will be back here again at 1:30 for Dr. Paul Sukis, did I say that right? Yes, who is going to be sharing his research about the Catholic Chautauqua in New York. Started relative to the same time as the Chautauqua Reading Program in New York, and there's some debate which came first, which was mimicking the other, and maybe Paul will lay that straight for us next Sunday afternoon. Following that, we will have the graduation of the Lakeside members of the Chautauqua Literary and Scientific Reading Circle who've achieved one of the levels of graduation. We welcome this afternoon. All of you know her better than I do, I'm sure, but we are so glad to have Sue Cook Williams at our podium.
Yeah, that would be my mom. I know you're still following.
She's sitting on
Changed their name.
Yes.
watching with great delight.
Yes, and my dad.
Yes, Doug also. Welcome and thank you for being here with us for this wonderful topic today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Now, okay, I'm doing the check. Is this working?
No.
Voice? Or is it just my voice? Dorothy, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
There.
So, I, of course, being a Lakesider, am just so thrilled. And I'm not just thrilled, I feel very honored to be here. Just like anybody else would. We've all worked for Lakeside. We all loved Lakeside. We all have collected who we are today at Lakeside over the last 140 years. So, thank you. So when I'm speaking today, I am just a benchmark in the whole part of history of Lakeside. So I'm very humbled about what people have done before me, what people have done after me, and people have done so many way other things. And I'm speaking from the sailing issue, etc. But everybody here, I believe, has played a good, special part in Lakeside. And so I appreciate that for all of you doing this, because I'm just one of you. And so today, what I want to cover is an overview of the 145 years that how we've used our waterfront at Lakeside. And also I wanted to be able to discern through my research when it was, why it was that Lakeside Association decided not to have boating on the dock. And actually, I have not found that answer, but I have tried to discern when it is according to notes that people have sent me via email. And I appreciate that. People have sent me, by the way, a little, not a disclaimer, but many people have sent me things in on my Lakeside Sailing Reflections email. And I appreciate that. I'm not sure I can really share all of that today. I decided to do more memories based on some photographs that I could glean from the Historical Society in my basement that flooded a couple of days ago. And so I was grateful to find those. Let's see what I was going to say about that. So the other, let me go back to just answering the question that I wanted to seek out. Because according to Bonnie Bright Hakes, her grandfather, she remembers her grandfather being able to dock, having photographs of her grandfather being able to dock their boat at 1923, which is, or 1949, I'm sorry, 1949. Chris Dunlop, who I interviewed over the phone because, you know, everybody should know George. If anyone knows me, they know George first. They knew George first, and their association knew George first. George, and I can say it 10 times over in many facets. Chris Gunlock said that she remembers her grandfather docking their boat in 1950 on the dock. So I'm assuming that, and I'll show you later on the films, that in 1954 there was the dock was damaged, highly damaged, and I suspect, now this is again suspect, that that's when they closed down the dock for boats, but I don't know that for a fact. I think I'd have to go back into the trustees meeting notes, and I'm not going to do that. You can do that, and then get back to me. Get back to all of us. So the third thing that's really important to me is that we recognize something that most of us are not familiar with, because I was talking with a few old timers at Lakeside the other day, and they weren't familiar with this story. Just like the forefathers of Lakeside, ooh, hello, now it's working. Just like the forefathers of Lakeside, Clemens and Gill. They had a plan beforehand. They bought land of Lakeside, and the next year they started a dock. People probably heard about the conversation going, but there was somebody before that came to help make Lakeside what it is. And my point is it was the American Red Cross, and who for a long time had come to Lakeside. Of course, Frank Thompson was well known at the Northwest Water Safety Program in Toledo, and he and his cohort, Chuck Dial, who was the first National Aquatics Director, came to Lakeside in 75 and 76. And they studied the lakefront, wanting to be able to continue the effort, partially of what Frank Thompson was doing, because they knew him so well. They knew, you'll find out about the Kelly's Island Swim, that they felt that this was a perfect place to promote water safety and boating. And they couldn't, it was really difficult for them to not have it here, and it just got to be in their bonnet, they had to do that. So, and I will talk to you more about that, but this is probably new to some people, and it is correct information. I'm just going to set that flat. It's correct information. It was part of the underpinnings that most people didn't know. But at the same time, George Gunlock was very busy in the background trying to work with the board of directors, trying to establish safe boating. And then I'll tell you, then John, well, okay. So John Bolster is a very important person to me because of Lakeside, and I really wish, I so wish, he could be here, because he, oh dear, I'm so sorry. We are a waterfront because of John. You'll see later on the photographs, the things that we did are based on because I believe a lot of families started collecting themselves down at the boathouse, sailing. Now they're paddle boating. When we started the sailing school, families were coming in together and multi-generational people were taking classes and people were buying cottages. The Dudros and the Patzos both bought a cottage 1 year after they came to Lakeside, rented a cottage, and then bought a cottage and bought a sailboat. And that's only 2 families out of a horde of people that did that. So John couldn't be here today, but I do have here somebody who represents him. It's his cousin, and Dan Miller, who is his cousin, who's from also Lakeside. And he lives on Elm Street.
That's correct.
So I'm so glad. I wanted everybody to put their eyes on John because he is my hero, but you're our middleman for today.
Fill in for John.
I know. Okay, so let's just go on forward. And by the way, Eleanor Durr said that there were no boats on the shore. Oh, please go up. Well, okay. I'm sorry, there you go. So Eleanor Durr also said in her book in the 1970s there were no boats at the dock. So here I'm showing our forefathers. I know we started in 1973, but in 1873 and 1872 they got the money together to purchase the land, and then the next year they started building the dock. So you can see it was essential to them right away to get people to the water. But that was a gathering place. That was where I feel a lot of souls just enjoy the water so much. They built the cribs from local trees until one of the people said, "No, honey." It was his wife in charge of harvesting the trees. He said, "No, we need to save some of those trees for a shady walkway." So they started getting trees from other places, and they just didn't quite work out as well. We ended up shipping in trees from the state of Washington, if you can believe that. And then our first dock came in 1875. Yes, 1875. And you can see the steamer there, which, as most of us know, was a great deal of a very popular way, the most common way to get to Lakeside. And there's another shot. You'll see it's obviously all wooden plank. And they also tried, the people who were putting the dock together, build it in the wintertime so the rocks, they could help build the cribs. Oh, security. Just, okay. So they could easily. Cancel. Okay, let's hope that doesn't happen again. So they could maneuver the cribs better. Okay, now it's not working, the down thing. Drake. This is my son Drake. Hey. Now what happened? All right, so there we go. Note that in 1903 we didn't have the pavilion, but we of course had the hotel. That is, the dock that you see there in the middle is, I'm not sure if that is part, it's probably not part of the I dock, but this is when they started having the rowboats and other boats. Obviously it says boathouse in the back. And then the pavilion is completed in 1909, which I think is an extremely handsome building. And I just can imagine the money that they had to raise in that time after buying the land for Lakeside itself. For those who are not familiar with the pavilion, on the east side there was a cafeteria, and then below a bowling alley, and then on the west side a sundries store as well. In 21, now you can see, I'm going to point you can see this middle dock here, the man is standing there. That is a dock that was put there. It was a concrete dock because people wanted to bring their speedboats in. So it was a very active dock, but then the swimmers didn't like that, and it became unpopular and it was discontinued. I put this film in, and by the way, oh gosh, we could give a big thanks to Suzanne Wolf Hanselman because she gave me so many pictures.
Thank the people that are on the site called Vintage Lakeside. They submitted so many pictures. And
Yes.
Patrick Thomas
But
too.
you were my captain. My captain. If anybody knows of this and is very familiar with this postcard, I'd be interested to know if they are familiar with it and what the details are. But I have a suspicion that this might be some of the nighttime activity down by the end of Peach at what we call Marshmallow Rock, and there is a postcard, old postcard circulating somewhere that has a picture of people being